Christmas is a time to celebrate the birth of Jesus, enjoy festive cheer, and gather with loved ones around good food, drinks, and heartfelt discussion. Streets twinkle with greetings of Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, while words like peace and joy glow in store windows. It's often called the most wonderful time of the year, and for good reason. But let's be honest, the holiday seasons aren't all warm fuzzies. Flights get canceled, awkward family debates spark over dinner, and there's always that one uncle who overshares after a bit too much eggnog. If holiday stress has you feeling like Scrooge, here's some perspective. It could be worse. Well, believe it or not, some of the most disastrous events in history happened during Christmas. So, before the Grinch steals your holiday spirit, let's take a look at 15 of the worst things that have ever happened on Christmas. Number 15. Christmas Flood, 1717. The snow is snowing, the wind is blowing, but we can weather the storm. Irving Berlin's super cheerful lyrics from 1937 might warm hearts, but love was little consolation during the Christmas flood of 1717. In the early hours of Christmas morning, a catastrophic North Sea storm unleashed chaos along the coasts of northern Europe, from Holland to Denmark. The storm brought towering waves and relentless winds, flooding farms, cities, and villages. Around 1 a.m., floodwaters swept thousands from their beds, forcing many to climb trees and buildings to escape the torrent. Thunderstorms, hail, and rain continued to batter the region, with water levels surging up to 10 feet. By the time the storm weakened on December 27th, its devastation was unimaginable. Over 13,700 lives were lost to drowning and exposure, along with countless livestock and homes. The Christmas flood remains one of Europe's most harrowing disasters, a chilling reminder of nature's unyielding power during even the most joyful of seasons. Number 14. The Italian Hall Disaster, 1913. The Italian Hall disaster of 1913 is a chilling reminder of how tragedy can strike in an instant. On Christmas Eve, copper miners and their families gathered at the Italian Hall in Calumet, Michigan, for a holiday party. It was a rare moment of joy and unity for a community battling harsh working conditions and exploitative mine management. The hall was filled with laughter, holiday cheer, and solidarity, until an unidentified voice yelled, "Fire!" There was no fire, but panic engulfed the crowd. People rushed for the narrow staircase leading out, turning a joyful celebration into a nightmare. In the chaos, 73 lives were lost, most of them children, crushed as the crowd surged toward safety. The disaster, caused not by flames but by fear, highlights the devastating power of human panic. Though the cause remains shrouded in mystery, the memory of those lost serves as a sobering reminder of the importance of safety in public gatherings. Number 13. Iroquois Theater Fire. Today, heading to the theater during Christmas break is a beloved tradition, and it was no different in 1903. Nearly 2,000 people, mostly women and children enjoying their holiday, packed the Iroquois Theater in Chicago for a matinee performance of Mr. Bluebeard. What began as a festive outing turned into one of the deadliest theater disasters in history. During the second act, a malfunctioning light bulb sparked a fire on stage, setting a drape ablaze. Flames rapidly spread to the scenery above, and as burning debris rained down, terrified actors and audience members scrambled for safety. Chaos erupted when the dimly lit exits, hidden behind curtains or locked to prevent gate crashers, trapped hundreds inside. In the dark, smoke-filled theater, the stampede claimed many lives before firefighters could respond. By the end, 575 people were dead, with more succumbing to injuries in the following days. This tragedy led to critical safety reforms, including marked exits and doors that always open outward, a lasting legacy of a devastating event. Number 12. Tangiwai Train Disaster, 1953. Well, you might think a train ride on Christmas Eve would be peaceful, but for the passengers of New Zealand's express train in 1953, it became a journey into disaster. As families traveled toward holiday celebrations, Mount Ruapehu silently unleashed a deadly lahar, a torrent of mud, water, and volcanic debris that tore through the land, destroying a dam and severely weakening the rail bridge at Tangiwai. Unaware of the danger ahead, the train hurtled toward the damaged bridge. The engineer spotted the destruction and braked hard, managing to save the rear carriages. Tragically, the front of the train plunged into the icy Wangehu River below. Passengers were thrown into chaos, and carriages were swept away like driftwood. Of the 285 on board, 151 perished, making it New Zealand's worst rail disaster. The Tangiwai tragedy is a haunting reminder of nature's unpredictable fury, a catastrophe forever etched into the nation's history on what should have been a night of peace. Number 11. Ku Klux Klan founded, 1865. KKK, or should we say, Christmas Killjoy Club? Well, that's right. On Christmas Eve, 1865, while others were busy spreading holiday cheer, 6 Confederate veterans in Pulaski, Tennessee, decided to launch the Ku Klux Klan, America's most infamous hate group. Their mission? Well, it was simple: to fight against the changes brought by Reconstruction, particularly the newfound rights of Black Americans. Led by Grand Wizard Nathan Bedford Forrest, a former Confederate general, the KKK quickly grew into a violent force. They terrorized communities with lynchings, assaults, and threats, targeting Black people and their allies. Their actions were so heinous that Congress passed the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, giving the president authority to deploy federal troops to shut them down. Although their influence waned after Reconstruction, the KKK resurfaced in the 1920s and again in the 1960s, reminding us that hate doesn't take holidays. Today, splinter groups persist, proving some traditions really should be left in the past. Number 10. The USSR invade Afghanistan, 1979. Imagine a disaster striking not in storms or chaos, but on a tranquil day, the kind where peace feels within reach. On Christmas Eve 1979, the Soviet Union shattered that calm by invading Afghanistan, marking the start of a decade-long nightmare. While much of the world celebrated the season, Afghanistan faced an onslaught. Officially, the Soviets claimed they were invited to stabilize a faltering communist government. In reality, Soviet special forces stormed Darul Aman Palace, assassinating President Hafizullah Amin and replacing him with a leader from Moscow. The foray was brutal. Scorched earth tactics, indiscriminate bombings, and landmines scarred the Afghan landscape, leaving millions displaced and countless lives lost. The Cold War heated up as the U.S. armed Mujahideen fighters, turning Afghanistan into a battleground. By the war's end, thousands of civilians had perished, and the Soviet Union had sunk into one of its costliest military disasters, a grim reminder that even on the quietest days, history can take a dark turn. Number 9. Underwear Bomber, 2009. If you thought holiday travel couldn't get worse, think again. On Christmas Day 2009, a 23-year-old Nigerian named Umar Farouk Abdulmutallab attempted to bring terror to a flight from Amsterdam to Detroit. He tried to detonate a bomb concealed in his underwear as the plane was descending into Detroit. The bomb made a loud popping sound, like a firecracker, but it didn't go off as planned. Though Abdulmutallab was engulfed in flames, the bomb failed to detonate fully. The flames spread to the plane's interior, but thanks to the heroic actions of passengers, the fire was quickly put out, and the attacker was subdued. Abdulmutallab's plan, inspired by extremist views, aimed to retaliate for perceived injustices against Muslims. Luckily, despite the terrifying incident, all 289 people on board survived. Number 8. Indian Ocean Tsunami, 2004. On December 26, 2004, a magnitude 9.1 earthquake struck the Indian Ocean off Indonesia, releasing energy equivalent to 23,000 Hiroshima-level atomic bombs. Had the damage been confined to the seafloor, it might have gone unnoticed. But the earthquake displaced massive amounts of water, sending tsunami waves racing toward the coastline. At first, the waves were barely noticeable, just a foot high and sneaking across the ocean. People carried on with their day, unaware of the impending catastrophe. But then, the ocean began to behave oddly, receding rapidly in some places and roaring like a jet engine in others. The waves that followed grew towering, up to 98 feet in height, crashing into coastal areas with deadly force. The lack of a warning system caught people off guard. By the time the waters retreated, 230,000 people were dead, making it the deadliest tsunami in history. Number 7. Beagle 2. Spacecraft lost, 2003. When the European Space Agency launched the Mars Express orbiter in 2003, it carried a special cargo, the Beagle 2 spacecraft, which was supposed to land on Mars on Christmas Day. But this holiday miracle of space exploration never quite happened. After releasing Beagle 2 into Mars's atmosphere on December 19, 2003, the spacecraft plummeted at 12,400 mmHg, equipped with a parachute and airbags to ensure a safe landing. Once on the Martian surface, 4 solar arrays were meant to open and expose the radio antenna for communication with Earth. However, when Beagle 2 failed to contact Earth, scientists feared their Christmas wish was dashed. Despite years of design, travel, and millions of dollars spent, it was declared lost in February 2004. It wasn't until 12 years later that NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter discovered the spacecraft's landing site, revealing the solar panels had failed to deploy properly. Number 6. Star Wars Holiday Special, 1978. A lot can go wrong when you try to force Christmas onto something that wasn't built for it. Just ask any rock artist who's ever dropped a holiday album. In the case of Star Wars creator George Lucas, his attempt to bring the galaxy far, far away into the holiday spirit resulted in what can only be described as a disaster. When he pitched the idea of a Star Wars holiday special to CBS, someone really should have stopped that sleigh before it ever left Santa's workshop. Unfortunately, the cringe-worthy event aired, only for Lucas to immediately cancel all future broadcasts and video releases afterward. So what went wrong? For starters, the plot revolved around Chewbacca's family celebrating Life Day, a Wookiee holiday that felt like a strange hybrid of Thanksgiving and Christmas. The 10-minute conversation in Wookiee speak, no subtitles, alienated viewers from the start. Add bizarre guest performances, including a sensual scene with Grandpa Itchy and Diahan Carroll, and it's easy to see why the special was universally panned. Lucas himself once said, "If I had the time and a sledgehammer, I would track down every copy of that show and smash it." Number 5. Erzincan Earthquake, 1939. While much of the world celebrated Christmas in 1939 with carols and cheer, the Erzincan region of Turkey faced unimaginable devastation. On December 27th, a massive earthquake struck with a staggering magnitude of 7.8, leveling entire villages in seconds. Over 32,000 lives were lost, countless more were injured, and tens of thousands were left homeless in the bitter winter cold. The cheerful sounds of the season were replaced in Erzincan by the haunting cries of survivors and the relentless creak of collapsing timbers. Families huddled amidst the rubble, searching for loved ones and bracing against the harsh elements. For many, this Christmas wasn't about joy. It was about survival. The Erzincan earthquake remains one of Turkey's deadliest natural disasters, a stark reminder of nature's raw power. Yet amid the tragedy, stories of resilience and humanity shone through, proving that even in the darkest moments, hope can endure. Number 4. Library of Congress burns, 1851. Books are not the greatest thing you can give for Christmas, at least not for some kids, but they were exactly what the Library of Congress desperately needed after a devastating fire on Christmas Eve, 1851. The flames, sparked by a faulty chimney flue, consumed 35,000 of its 55,000 books, including two-thirds of Thomas Jefferson's 6,187-volume collection. Ironically, Jefferson's library had been donated to replace books lost when the Capitol burned during the War of 1812. This wasn't the library's first brush with fire. Back in 1825, an unattended candle nearly caused a similar disaster. Congress, in its infinite wisdom, decided fireproofing was too expensive. Fast forward to 1851, and that decision came back to haunt them. Despite the tragedy, the Library of Congress was rebuilt and reopened in 1853, this time in a fireproof space. It was a hard lesson in planning ahead, but it ensured the nation's treasures wouldn't be lost to flames again, at least not anytime soon. Number 3. Black Christmas, 1941. Everything was going smoothly until the second act when a light bulb malfunctioned and set a drape ablaze. Flames quickly spread to the scenery overhead, raining fiery debris onto the stage. Panicked cast members fled, while terrified theatergoers stampeded for the exits. The lights went dark, the stage collapsed, and chaos erupted. For the defenders of Hong Kong during World War II, the nightmare wasn't theatrical. It was brutally real. Months before Christmas 1941, British, Canadian, Indian, and Hong Konger troops braced for a Japanese attack, evacuating women and children from the colony. The assault came on December 8th, forcing the Allied forces into a desperate battle. Severely outnumbered, they held out for 2 weeks of intense combat. By Christmas Day, the city's water mains were destroyed, power was out, and Allied soldiers were out of options. At 3:30 p.m., British Governor Sir Mark Young surrendered. Over 4,000 soldiers had died in the battle, marking the holiday with a devastating reminder of war's toll. Number 2. Charlie Chaplin, 1977. For many, Christmas is a time to celebrate with loved ones, making it especially heartbreaking when a cherished figure passes on that day. Such was the case on December 25, 1977, when legendary actor and comedian Charlie Chaplin died at age 88, surrounded by family at his home in Switzerland. Chaplin was a pioneer of silent cinema, capturing hearts worldwide with his unmatched talent for pantomime, slapstick, and satire. His iconic character, the Tramp, with his baggy pants, tight coat, and bowler hat, became a symbol of humor and humanity. Beyond comedy, Chaplin used his art to address serious issues, most notably mocking Adolf Hitler in The Great Dictator, 1940. Chaplin's influence was unparalleled. A New York theater exclusively screened his films for nearly a decade, and Paris declared a public holiday for the premiere of The Kid in 1921. With a career spanning 80 films and 53 years, Chaplin left an indelible mark on cinema, ensuring his legacy endures far beyond his final Christmas. Number 1. Congo Christmas Massacre. The Democratic Republic of Congo is no stranger to heartbreak, but Christmas of 2008 brought unimaginable horror. As the holiday approached, the Lord's Resistance Army, a brutal Christian cult, unleashed a campaign of terror across the Haut-Uele province. On Christmas Eve, they began attacking villages, leaving devastation in their wake. Over 600 people were slaughtered in unimaginable ways. Entire villages were burned to the ground, and dozens of children were abducted. Women faced horrific acts of sexual violence, and survivors were left to bury their loved ones in makeshift graves. The LRA's rampage was part of a long campaign of terror that left deep scars in the region, scars that persist to this day. While Christmas is often a time of comfort and joy, for these communities, it became a season of pain and loss. Hope you have enjoyed this video. If you do, then please like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.